Happy March 19th, 2023. It's Lucky's birthday today. Welcome to our YouTube channel for your weekly intuitive astrology with Teri Hunter. I might have started a wee bit early because I wanted just to be able for Lucky to be able to say hi to everybody. Look in the camera, Buzz. Say hi. Oh, there we go. We'll wait for some people to show up. So, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a little bit celebratory today because it's Lucky's 11th birthday, and it's the best day of the whole year for me. Hi, Catherine. Welcome to our show. Hi, Small Wildflowers. This is a huge, huge week. I think this is the biggest week of 2023. So much is sort of starting to reveal itself. Welcome, Stephen. Hi, Carolyn. As you can see, Lucky loves sitting up here on the table. He's having a great morning. He's very excited about his birthday. So for those of you that may be new to my channel, when you're watching this in playback, I'm an intuitive astrologer, and every week we come together live and we look at the transits of the week ahead, and we get the angels' advice for traversing the transits. So I'm going to do readings for each sign, and I'm going to talk about the aspects going on this week, which are huge. Pluto is going to move into Aquarius the end of this week, the 23rd, the first time in 248 years that it's been in Aquarius. It hasn't been in Aquarius since the American Revolution, not to mention the French Revolution as well. So this is wildly pivotal. And also wanted to mention, these readings are based on whole sign Western astrology. So if you're checking this, you're going to look for your rising sign. I also believe that the moon is incredibly powerful. We don't give it enough credit, and yet humans are emotional beings. So we manifest on our emotional body. So check what's going on with you, because this new moon at 0 degrees Aries this week is also could be making aspects to you in square, in opposition. I know it's a couple of degrees away from my south node, so I think this is super powerful and important. And it is the beginning of a whole new solar year. So here's Lucky, born on the last day of winter. Yeah. Do you want to say hi to the peeps? Do you want to look in the camera so they can see how cute you are? Go on, look in the camera real quick. There it is. All right, I'm going to put him down now so we can get to our business at hand. Welcome, Jasper the Tiger. I said hi to Carolyn, I think I did. Hi, Cece Pops. Hi, Dr. Linda from Canada. All right, here we go. Down he goes. Whoa. Let me take off this little, I put a blanket up there so he'd feel more comfortable. All right, now I'm going to become more professional. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, there's rain coming. Rain coming. I want to offer it this way. I was watching, I don't know what I was watching last night, like some weird, crazy show on the Travel Channel. And this family were in a tornado, and literally the tornado blows through their whole town, destroys everything. And then their house is sitting completely untouched in the middle of all of that devastation. It was really wild, and it made me really think a lot about, on some level, our willingness to align to a bigger picture that we cannot see. So, Stephen, thinking that not only will you get home safely, but that you have angels around you protecting you, that your mission here on this earth is to be here to inspire others. And as you stand in your own light, that's how you do that. So let's get into the aspects, everybody. Weird stuff is happening right now. The more that the media has evolved, the more we realize that the earth plane is so full of varied experiences that some of us can't even begin to imagine the things that can happen. So, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, Dr. Linda, so are you in, I think I missed something there. Thank you, Jasper, for wishing Lucky happy birthday. Hi, Sheila. Welcome to the channel. It's good to see everybody here. Okay, so I always say I'm going to get to business, but I'm a little bit of a all day dreaming kind of girl. Okay. Big day. Mercury moves into Aries today. So that's interesting and fun because it's going to join the party of Jupiter and Chiron, which has been transiting Aries for quite some time. So we're really getting to look and see how we process our own individual thought, how we assert ourselves out into the world based on what we think. And tomorrow we have, at least here in the Pacific, we have this spring equinox, and the sun and Mercury will be conjunct. So I think there'll be a real spotlight on how we are thinking and how we project that out into the world. We have our new moon in Aries on the 21st. I mean, look at this week so far. It's already stacking up. I did a separate video on the new moon in Aries, so you can check that out. The timestamps are in the comment section. We have the moon conjunct Jupiter and Chiron in Aries on the 22nd. So I believe this is really going to illuminate on some level, or emotionally illuminate what we were feeling in the way of wanting to assert ourselves, wanting to give birth to a new version of ourselves as a result of this new moon. This new moon is super powerful. It's at that 0 degree, almost first degree, and it is the third of a series of new moons at that very pivotal 0 and 1 degree. So I think that's important to pay attention to, because your emotions on that day, if you're feeling this week, it could kind of be a little bit of a roller coaster ride, is the way I want to put it, because you could be feeling on one level excited about what you are feeling from the inside out, and then you get input from the outside in, meaning, you're watching the news or you're talking to other people, and they're in a more unconscious fear-based place, and they may inadvertently, put that on the table. So I think it's super important to realize that as an aware soul walking in this human experience, that a lot of times you're here to represent, not to necessarily teach or tell or talk to somebody, but just, to allow them to own whatever their fears, trepidations, uncertainties are, because this Saturn moving into Pisces, and then, Pluto moving into Aquarius could make some people feel very unsure, and they don't know why. They just feel this sense of anxiety. Because on the 22nd, the moon and Jupiter will be at 16 degrees. We saw a series of full moons. We've got our last full moon in Libra this month at 16 degrees. That's a Cancerian degree. And I want to offer it in a way that this is about self-nurturing, trusting my inner knowing, giving my inner knowing an opportunity to grow in a way that allows me to trust it more. Because, it's funny, when we're in a situation where we feel tension or danger, that inner knowing feels very obvious. But when we're taking that inner knowing and putting our chips down and betting on ourselves, that inner knowing is scary. So, or at least it can be. So I want to offer it that way. On the 23rd, Pluto will dip its toe, start the toe dip into Aquarius. And any of you that have, early degree Aquarius, late degree Capricorn are already feeling this energy. There's going to be a restlessness within you, wanting to really birth a new part of yourself. And I want to offer it this way, because I think a lot of what we're thinking as humans about Pluto, we may be having trepidation. Earlier, I mentioned that we haven't seen Pluto in Aquarius since the revolutions, the French and the American Revolution. And so we tend to associate that with upheaval and war and disruption. But it's also liberation, and it's, higher ideals being implemented in the human experience. So I want to offer it that way, because as we stand in the liberation of our own higher vibration, as we start to give life and start to take Saturn's sojourn through Pisces and start to put structure into the ideals of what we want, we will find ourselves thriving in times when potentially people will feel that it's not possible to thrive. And I think this is really important. Now, the last big thing this week, as if the week isn't action-packed enough, is Mars moves into Cancer for the first time in 7 months. Almost 8 months, 7.5 months. This is huge. Mars has been traversing Gemini. Really, I think what Mars has been doing is figuring out how Mars's energy lands on the people around him, how Mars's verbiage and what he thinks and speaks and talks and how he interacts with his teammates, workmates, neighborhoods, cousins, siblings, the people around you. We tend to think Mars is sort of this brash, harsh energy, just let me get things done. And Mars has had to work with other people and realize it's a co-creator, that a lot of the inspirations and passions that Mars represents needs other people in order to facilitate. So this is where I think as Mars enters Cancer, it gets to practice all that it has conceptually learned while it was in Gemini. So it's going to practice being more emotive to other people, maybe listening with both ears instead of one foot ready to run forward. Because sometimes when someone's listening to you and they have an impatient energy, you don't feel listened to at all. So I really think that Mars is going into that hero vibration, going into that, pioneering spirit. I feel like the reason Mars is exalted in Capricorn is because there is a wisdom that is being taught to Mars so that he is a peaceful warrior, not, a banshee. And so on this channel, we're stretching and we are standing in alignment with the highest vibrations of these planets. Everything has its duality, but when we focus on the darkness, we tend to kick in the law of attraction that brings those more challenging energies. And as we focus on the light that is offered to us, we bring those forward. So I want to offer this as well. Mars was in Gemini for about 7 months. Mars went into Gemini on August 20th, 2022, which reduces down to a 7. We are in a 7-year right now. The number 7 is popping up in so many ways. We had a series of full moons at the 16th degree, which were, if you add it up, is a 7. So there's a lot of energy asking us as souls in the human experience to stand in not a higher vibration, but almost looking above a situation to see the balance and how, sometimes a disruptive energy actually serves a greater purpose, and then to stand in that greater vision and purpose. I think that's what's going on here. So this week, your emotions can be a little bit all over the place, between faith and fear, between exhilaration and a little bit of trepidation. And I want to offer it this way because Mars in Cancer is going to be fiercely protective of the homeland and those that Mars loves. So I think in this moment, as Mars, because Mars is also going to make a trine, not this week, but next week to Saturn. And so I think this is super important to allow this week, as events unfold in the media and as we see headlines that may appear rather unsettling. I think it's important to rise above and to say, am I part of this wave? Am I part of, or am I on some level representing the lighthouse versus the storm? As Venus moved into Cancer this week as well, I didn't see that. I thought Venus was still in Taurus. Maybe you're talking natally, Dan. Anyway, okay. So let's go on to our readings. This is going to be our last Sunday, starting with Pisces and working our way around the Zodiac to Aquarius. And next week we'll be in Aries season. Okay, everybody, you ready? I can't help, I'm a big history buff and I love to watch a lot of history. And in the month of February, the History Channel focuses a lot on American, the Revolution and all of that. So it's very exciting. But I want to offer this because I watch Oak Island, and Samuel Ball was a cabbage farmer, an African-American cabbage farmer back in 17 blah, blah, blah. And he became a very, very wealthy man. And while you can't find them readily, they're not popping off the historic pages or the pages of history, but there are many people that we would look at initially and think you can't thrive in this environment. That not only did they thrive, but they represented a vibration that is of an angelic dynamic, meaning they represented what can be when we align to the truth of who we are versus succumb to this human experience that is very much out of balance. So, okay, here we go. Thank you, Stephen. All right, so let's start with our tarot card for Pisces this week. We see the Page of Wands. This is inspiration. I can't help but look at the little hat on his head and think that there's like ideas popping up everywhere. There's a sense of excitement looking to the future. I know that it may feel a little interesting. What is going to happen with Saturn moving into my first house? Oh no, will I turn old? Will I go dry? I don't think so. I think that I have a love affair with Saturn. I don't know why, but I really feel like there's parts of him that have been pigeonholed, and I don't like the pigeonhole because I think that Saturn, yes, does Saturn want me to work hard? Does Saturn want me to train and stay aligned to my vision, to stay aligned to my passions beyond my own comfort? Oftentimes the human wants to see the manifestation. I want that car in the garage. I want that mate in my bed. I want that great meal on the table. And yet the journey of those endeavors is really why we're here. So I feel as if for some reason this week is about Pisces sort of giving life to that creative dynamic inside of you, the passions inside of you, not having to have it manifest, but allowing the youthful exuberation and excitement of ideas flowing to let it just kind of, that's a very, very technical term. My. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what the angels have to say for you. Our first angel is Akasha, the teacher. The second is Aurora. The third is Caressa. And the final is Opal. All right. Akasha is being joined by the Truth card. Aurora is being joined by the Hawk. Caressa is being joined by the Restriction card. And Opal's being joined by the Dragon. This is an interesting energy of the reading because I almost feel like, Neptune is still in Pisces, and it is making a square to Mars this week. I didn't quite mention that. There's a lot of subtle aspects, and I want to offer it this way because Pisces, being such a compassionate, loving sign, could defer their own successes to help another person or to support another person, or in some ways even to hide their own fears. Let me support you because I'm kind of afraid that whatever I want may not happen. So here we have Akasha, the spiritual teacher, and the deep truth card. And what does Pluto represent but the deepest of truths? Of all the planets in the zodiac, it represents the most deepest and in some ways unconscious to the actual human of their own psychological makeup and how they take their actions. So here, I think this is really about your passions, your creativity, your excitement for that, and you're learning how to put that forth, that is your deepest truth. And as you learn, and I want to offer it this way because I don't feel like it's really a learning. It feels more like a memory. Like I'm remembering, oh yeah, when I do my thing and I'm creative, I'm actually inviting others to join me in that invitation. And I may say that a lot, but this is how we will teach others in the future. We won't talk at them. We won't tell them what to do because that doesn't work. What we will do is do for ourselves. And in doing so, we will inspire them because they'll say, I want to do that. I want to be like that. Because here is Aurora saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend. And the hawk is here telling you that there are signs and omens of the viability of your own creation. And I want to offer it this way because in the angel's advice, we have the end of a chapter and we have restriction. Now, having Saturn move into your first house could, on some level, bring a story around a historic dynamic within your life that is presenting to you that fork in the road. Do I choose me or do I choose the other person or the other situation? Because I think that at this moment, Saturn's saying, you've made that choice. You've chosen that other dynamic before, and it really didn't work for you. It really wasn't as viable as you might have thought it had been. So when you choose you and you foster you and you nurture you, then you actually could potentially have a much greater situation. Because here, the dragon to me feels very much about the calmness and the power and the strength of knowing that when I put my inner child at the forefront, my inner child is my inner knowing. It's the part of me that says, I deserve to be a princess. I deserve to, color with all the colors of the rainbow. I deserve to sing out loud and to enjoy and to laugh. This is the beauty of what the child experience has to offer the adult, and I believe right now, this is what we're looking at for Pisces, because I'm moving into this Saturn moving into your sign could really initially make you feel like somebody's thrown a wet blanket on you, or somebody's come in and said, no more of this and no more of that. And this would be the old realistic view of Saturn. I think that the evolved version of Saturn is asking you to be inspired and then start to put the structure in to build that inspiration, build that creativity, allow for that expansion to reveal itself as you work in tandem with the universe. There's this looking up to the sky, feels as if I'm being inspired through spirit. So I think this is very powerful for you. And I don't know why I didn't get a chance to check it, because I kind of, I got distracted with Lucky's birthday morning. But I think also I want to talk about void of the moon when it's in void, of course, because there could be times during this week with all this activity as the moon is changing signs that it sits in that place where it kind of feels like you're, as it's void, of course. So it feels like there's a hole somewhere. And I want to offer that, because if you feel like there's a hole somewhere, or you feel like you're supposed to move forward and the movement isn't clear, that's because Spirit's going to inspire you. So as you relax into that and you let your Piscean energy kind of flow, you'll feel that inspiration. And I think you'll feel a little bit stronger even in the motions moving forward as we watch the rest of the world stand in trepidation of these changing times. Okay. On to our Aries, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Yeah, it's his birthday. He's been in such a good birthday mood too. He woke up in a great mood. He's all playful and excited. He's 11 today. 11 solar returns. Okay, Aries. Now, this is a beautiful card for you. It's a card of travel. It's a card of going from kind of choppy waters into smoother waters, looking above what has been going on, meaning these swords represent strife, but they're usually strife that comes from my thought process. And this is giving me an opportunity to start anew. Now we're talking about the spring equinox. Here on this side of the world. We're also talking about a new moon in Aries. We're talking about Pluto moving into Aquarius. The month of March in and of itself is representing so much new energy that is offering us an opportunity to be innovative, to be inventive, to be, thinking in a bigger, broader way of the possibilities within our own human existences. And for my Aries, I think that what we've been seeing with Jupiter and Chiron being conjunct in your first house, you've been really examining your beliefs. And then your ruling planet has been in Gemini, I really believe that Mars in Gemini the universe has been saying to Mars, look, you say you're a hero. You say that you want to be a pioneering spirit for others. Then you get to learn how to work with others, buddy. And you don't do it very well. So we're going to park your butt in Gemini for a while, and you're going to figure out how you land on other people. And that way you could be more influential and powerful as you inspire people versus maybe pushing them in a direction they don't want to go, which is why I think this is such a powerful card, because the 6 represents a new beginning. It's a halfway point in the minor arcana. We see this guy is starting to see his own thought process and about. Yes, there's still a little bit of sorrow and wound here, but this is what I think is where we're transforming Chiron's energy from the wound to the gift. Okay. And as Mars is moving into Cancer at the end of this week, I kind of think this is apropos as well, because this guy is literally on water and Mars is about to learn how to be emotively available. That's how I want to put it. And I said into my video, I can't remember when I said it, but I feel like, Mars in Cancer can make steam, but steam takes the wrinkles out. Right? When you have a delicate fabric, you don't want to put a hot iron on it. You want to put steam on it. So this is going to somehow makes me feel like it's going to be very constructive rather than, this is where I think we garnish the wisdom of what Mars's sojourn through Gemini has garnished and what we've learned. So I think that truly Aries is going to move into smoother waters. And it's because of an awareness of your thoughts, not because conditions outside of you change. Okay, first angel for Aries is Opal. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Shanti. And the final is Archangel Raphael. I think that's very funny because Archangel Uriel deals with anger. Mars rules anger. And now I believe that Mars is becoming the peaceful warrior, the true hero that lies within all largely Martian energies. Okay. Opal is being joined by the High Priestess. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Swan. Shanti's being joined by the Focus card, and Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Wealth card. Okay, I'm not sure if that I'm pulling these cards out of this. You see me shuffle, and I feel like this absolutely supports what I was saying, because when you see everyone as a child of God, if you when we stop looking at people for their flaws, but rather that they're doing the best they can, we start to connect to a deeper intuitive knowing within us. And this is where I think Mars is really very, very intuitive without realizing it, because when a warrior goes into battle, you don't have time to think about what you're going to do. It has to be instinctual. But now we're taking that energy of the combative energy and we're applying it into our everyday lives in a way that supports the things we want to move towards, because you have been transforming your anger. You've been learning to trust you've been looking at things differently. And I'm not going to say that, spending as much time as Mars has done in Gemini hasn't been frustrating, but at the same time, I feel like as Mars moved forward and is in the later degrees of Gemini right now, it's starting to coagulate it all and be like, I got this now. Because Shanti represents peace and tranquility, and there's focus. It's also the 33. There's a learning thing. There's a learning curve here. And as a result, Mars is starting to think, okay, or Aries, I should say. Aries is starting to think, okay, I got this. I know how to be strong, and I also know how to back off when I'm being overly strong, because I don't want to alienate others. I want to inspire others, because now here we have the harmonious wealth card and we have a healing. And that healing to me comes from the epiphanies that Aries has had about their own energy. Now think about the idea that Pluto has been squaring Aries since 2008. And depending upon where you are, in the degrees and what planets you have in Aries, this has been transforming you. And I believe that Aries is a truly heroic energy, but it gets frustrated sometimes. And in that frustration, it's not being compassionate to the human experience. And this is where I think that Mars has learned some compassion for the human experience. And sometimes when people aren't feeling their best, they have trouble moving forward. So this is where Mars is taking over. I kind of feel like this guy is representing that. So I think that this is really good. Now we talk about a new moon for you, Aries. In your sign, there's a whole new birthing of who and what you want to be and how you operate without giving up the truth of who you are. That's what the beauty is. It's not that you've turned around and, become some sort of, overly accommodating person, but rather you've learned how to be yourself and still have other people respond to you. That's the way I want to put it. Okay. All righty, here we go. On to our Taurus, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. That's another thing I didn't even bring up is all the planetary activity is basically, for the most part, in Taurus and Aries right now. Very heavy that way. And in doing so, hello, Algobello, welcome to the room. Hi, Gita. Mikey, welcome. I said hi to Dan, I think. Good to see everybody. Thank you for wishing Lucky happy birthday wishes. He's doing so great. This morning, he's all snuggly and so sweet. It's really been a good time with us. Okay, here we go. On to our Tauruses. Your algo bello. Is that correct? Algo bello. Okay. All right. So we have the Hanged Man. Now, I want to offer this to my Tauruses because initially this looks, good. This looks a little, unsettling. But I want to say it this way because it's a very, the Hanged Man is a time where there is a pause because the pause allows for illumination. It allows for some sort of epiphany. And when I think about Taurus having Uranus going through your first house, you could feel as if in some cases your world has been turned upside down, but it's also offered you something. It's not just offered an epiphany, it's offered an opportunity for you to expose your heart. I can't help but think about the positioning of the limbs even on this card, because if you look very, very closely, you can see that there's nothing really holding him there. He's the one who's put his leg behind the other leg. He's the one who's put his hands behind his back. So there is a feeling of surrender to whatever the dynamic is in order for me to have an epiphany at some point. Oh, Gita, I'm so excited that you have a Lucky in your house. I used to have cats all the time. My Lucky's my first dog. Okay, let's go on, Taurus. Let's see what the Hanged Man wants you to, where I feel like this is really, there's also a sense of Neptune in this card for me. There's a sense of a Piscean energy. And I feel like it's not because of the water element as much as there's a sense of something to garnish. There's an ancestral, karmic, a historic, something happening. And as I surrender to that, as I'm kind of stuck in this spot, I become aware of it. And that awareness helps move me forward. Okay. All right. Xana is our first angel Taurus. The second is Bridget. The third is Isaiah. And the final is Azure. Xana is being joined by the fire fairy. Bridget's being joined by the dog. Isaiah's being joined by the forgiveness card. And Azure is being joined by the Baird. Taurus is it's very creative. It rules food, chefs, all sorts of food bakers, all sorts of food creations. It rules interior designers and makeup artists and all sorts of creative endeavors. And the Hanged Man for me with that Neptune energy is very creative as well. So there's something going on here that makes me feel as when I look at this, okay, so this week is going to be just the toe tip into feeling a new energy. And I do think that there could potentially be, if we think about it, we've seen in the media certain BANKs have, gone, down the slope. And so there could be, when it comes to finances, a little bit of a red flags being everywhere. And what I want to offer you is that this is a time when Taurus is sort of at a fork in the road, where you could go back to an old historic story of feeling a little insecure and wanting to stockpile and hoard, or protect yourself. And then there's an opportunity to understand that the universe, as you focus in on your own creative endeavors, will support you. If you look at statistics, I believe that entertainment and things that give people an opportunity to escape their troubles soars during financial troubles and times. So I want to offer a viewpoint to Taurus, where as things change around us, you continuing to, focus in on what's important to you, and being able to identify where you're endeavoring something because you think it's going to bring you security, and where you're endeavoring something that's going to bring you passion. That might be what the Hanged Man is really asking of you, is to pause and really identify. Because if you're focused on something solely to create financial wealth or to feel security through amassing a certain amount of material, I think that that's kind of a more shallow, not shallow, it's a short-term version. Whereas when you're creating something that you find beautiful, that allows you to escape to things that make you feel good, you inherently thrive. Because Xana is telling me for Taurus that you will thrive through creative thoughts and endeavors. And this is the angel of protection. Here we have Bridget asking you to look deeper, and there's the dog. And I think this is not about relationships, but about loving what you produce in the world, loving your content, loving your creations, loving and giving life to that which you find passion in, and what you find exhilarates you. And I want to offer this too, because I think that people who amass wealth are creative, the way they think, the way they know how to, put their money here and have it here. So creativity is not exclusively the arts. Creativity is the human experience. So as we start to shape that, we get opportunities for new beginnings, which actually reconcile whatever challenges that we've walked through, including whatever disruptions that Uranus has brought forth. I'm a late degree Aries rising. God bless Pluto, squaring me forever and a day. But I will say this, when Uranus went through Aries, and I wasn't really paying attention to astrology back then, and I'm really glad, because I think I would have freaked out. But it liberated me, because I quit my day job and I just launched like with the most. I had blinders on that were so tight that I would not look too far out here, because I would scare myself. So as I was just like, I kept saying to Spirit, if I'm meant to do this work, then you'll make sure that I'm materially successful, because that's what I think is happening for Taurus. Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith, and don't force it. And now the Baird is the enchantment of storytelling. It is a musical, poetic card. It also represents the history that Taurus represents. But here we're seeing creativity. Here we're seeing creativity. Here I'm feeling creativity. So the creative way that you move the chess pieces of your life around right now will be celebrated by Spirit, as you give life to the idea that you are being supported in that. Because what you will do is represent for other people. They'll see you thrive and they'll be like, well, how do you do that? And you'll do that because I align to the idea that when I'm creative within my thought process and allow my own personal creations to be birthed, everything works out for me. There will be so many platforms on the internet, and who knows if we'll even call it the internet. It may be something else by then, but there will be a lot of opportunity for individual expression that will bring bounty and bring material success. So the contemplation and the musing of that now offers a lot of opportunity, because Taurus, when Jupiter moves into your first house, this is where everything can expand for you. So preparing for that, being in, what does Oprah say? Luck is preparedness meets opportunities. So, all right, let's go on to our Geminis. The sun is shining for you, Gemini. Now, this is what I want to say. The potential may not feel this way because Mars has been going through your first house, but this is where I believe Mars can make you brave, and you may feel slightly vulnerable. I always kind of key in on the idea that this is a pony that this little toddler is sitting upon. So both of them have this very boisterous energy, and yet this child trusts unabashedly that this pony is going to keep it safe. So there is a feeling for me. A Gemini is youthful by nature. If indeed Mars has kind of kicked up any sort of warrior energy in your first house, well, then this is an opportunity to be kind of have a childlike innocence about how this is going to play out. And there's something been bugging me about Gemini and their career sector. I believe that Pisces is your 10th house, and I'm really kind of feeling like there's something going on between Mars in your first house and Saturn moving into your 10th house. It's going to liberate you from old stories or structures or dynamics where you didn't get recognized or seen in the way that you deserve to be seen. And now, as you're taking that Saturn energy and really applying structure to your dreams, to whatever you want, you think about when you're, we think about the bedroom as a place of privacy, of a place where we sleep, a place, the 12th house, that's where I'm going with this. And it's where, when you're a little girl, well, at least when I was a little girl, it's where I played my guitar and I believed I was a rock star and I was like something special. So here, I think, Gemini, this is an opportunity for you to start to stand in alignment to you being something special and that your dreams can come true. Let's see. Thank you so much, Sylvia. That's so nice of you to say. It's a good day. It's Lucky's birthday. I'm very excited. I'm more excited about his birthday than I am my own birthday. Because I don't think birthdays were fun until he came along. I did the stupidest thing yesterday. I saw a big old St. Bernard when I was walking Lucky, and I looked at the lady and I go, Giorgio, the peanut butter box is here. It was so stupid. Okay, here we go. Gemini. Athena says it's safe for you to lovingly assert yourself. Archangel Gabriel is talking. That's totally Gemini energy here for me. We have Azure saying your desired outcome is happening, and Ray is about connecting to spirit. Everybody loves a clean house, Dan. I love a clean house. Okay, here we go. Gemini. Athena is being joined by the Trust card. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Queen. Azure is being joined by the Bee card. And Ray is being joined by the Water Fairy. I think something is happening, transforming for Gemini. I think there's a change in your public status. And I think that Saturn is bringing in something that's a reward for you. And I want to offer it this way, because public status is not just changing your career. It can also change your status from married to single, from single to married, from, no children to children, no grandchildren to grandchildren. There could be a lot of things that change, because the sun also rules the Leo energy. It rules creativity. It rules conception. And now we have Athena telling you to lovingly assert yourself. And the Trust card is to trust your own assertion towards what you want, to be vulnerable to that, to trust that the little pony knows how to get you where you want to go. Because in the opportunity, the obstacle is the Queen. This is about reception. This is about connecting with Spirit in a way that you put an intention out there, and then Spirit's like, okay, focus in on that intention, Archangel Gabriel, and you will benefit from that. We will start to align the dynamics to bring in and the elements to support that. Also, Archangel Gabriel represents arts and communications. Here we see the sun representing, again, some sort of self-expression, the Leo energy of the sun. I want to do things that are fun. I want to work in an environment that makes me be able to enjoy myself, actors, etc. And then in the angel's advice, we have Azure saying that your outcome will happen in the near future. And there's the B card. That's victory. Okay. And I want to offer it this way. The victory comes because I'm aligning to the idea that, you know what, maybe I don't have to assert myself anymore, but now is the time to wait and to receive that next inspiration from Spirit as to where to go. Years ago, I was working in a miserable job, which most of my jobs were until I got this job that I made for myself. And there was one company that I wanted to work for. And I put an intention out there that, because I didn't think that job was available. So I was using it like a template to Spirit. I'm like, I want a job like blah, 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 blah. The next thing I know, I get a phone call a few weeks later where the guy that owned that company was actually looking for me and wanted to use me as his head administrator. So there is opportunity for you to stretch to a bigger dynamic. Look at Pluto. Pluto could completely liberate you. All right. So let's say Pisces is your 10th house. That makes Aquarius your 9th house. So this could take you into a whole foreign land where new things are happening, because now we see for my Geminis, Ray's power comes from your connection to Spirit. And it's a good time to meditate. And to meditate is not to try to make your mind calm. Your mind is a muscle that you really have no control over. Yes, you have a certain amount of control, but not complete control. So now this is about being aware of how you feel. Am I feeling frustrated? Am I feeling like my dreams won't come true? Am I still kind of feeling that old Mars energy of wanting to war with myself about whether I can or cannot trust what I want to assert? So now I want to slow that roll down, and I want to just go, okay, let's have some fun. Maybe the best thing to do right now isn't try to push the story forward, but to allow playtime to bring inspiration, or to have literally opportunities come to me without me efforting for them. So that's what I'm saying. All right, on to our Cancers. Mars is in the house in a couple of days, but Mars has learned something. I truly believe that. I don't think these planets are just static. Lucky was such a snuggle bug. He's been so snuggly lately that I thought I was dying. After I had my tooth surgery, I thought maybe he knew. So, dogs can smell things that you can't smell. And he was being so cuddly and sweet to me. I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I realized my energy had shifted with him, that I'm loving him more freely. I'm not worried about losing him as much. Now, I bring this up because Cancer, you're such a loving sign. And sometimes you love from a place of fearing loss. And now Mars is going to move into your first house, and Mars can be a little unsettling here. Okay. It's not its favorite place. In fact, it's Mars's least favorite place because Mars is in fall in Cancer. But now we're going to sort of think that Mars has learned something about how it shows up while it's been in Gemini. So now Mars's new energy moving into Cancer is different than it was the last time it was there 2 years ago. Okay. Oh, we need our tarot card. Now, Cancer, this is a really great energy. This is the Three of Wands. This is where you can see your ship coming in. It hasn't quite come in yet. What you want to manifest hasn't quite happened yet, but there's absolutely signs that it is coming in, and you get to stand in the power and strength of it, because this card is dominant in the yellow color, in the orange color, and that green as well, which is the heart. And of course, the red smock. So we're seeing a lot of our base chakra coming up to our power here, and being able to keep our vision where we want to go. And I want to offer this because 2 of the wands are planted in the ground. They don't need to be tended to. They're strong. The 3rd one, he's still holding on to. So this is another indication that something is still in process. There's been a certain amount of things that have been built in a stable way. And now we're going to bring in the next element, I guess, for lack of a better term. Let's see where we're going here. Now, we know that Pluto's been transiting in opposition to your sign. And, you know, while it's focused in on the very last degree of Cancer, I do believe that this is really an opportunity to dig deep into any imprints. I don't know why I want to put it this way, but oftentimes when I do readings with young women, they say, I want to get married. I want to get married. They don't say, I want to find a partner that will make my life amazing. It's a weird, subtle nuance for me that makes me key into, do they want the marker or do they want the actual person? Because I feel like there could be a little defining moment for Cancer where you've built a certain amount of something that's solid, and now really looking out onto the ocean of what you're creating, making sure you're bringing it in a really strong, authentic way that's seeing things from a rounder perspective. I guess that's where I'm going. Our first angel is Akasha, the teacher. The second is Crystal. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Athena. Our first position is the foundational position. The second is the opportunity or the obstacle. The third is the angel's advice. And the final is the potential outcome. Well, it's going to go out of your 7th house, and everything that it's taught you or everything that it's brought to the surface will get transformed when it moves into your 8th house. That's very exciting. Okay. Akasha is being joined by the fire fairy. Crystal's being joined by the cat. Yvonne's being joined by the queen. And Athena is being joined by the cow. Okay. You know, when I think of my Cancers, we always talk about Cancer being very intuitive and very nurturing, but I always get like a weird resistance from Cancer, as if there's a part of them that trusts their inner knowing and is a little scared of their inner knowing at the same time because they don't want to hear anything negative. And I feel like right now, this is a time to really start to kick in and learn from an optimistic attitude, knowing that you've built some things and they're there waiting, and it's just this final element or this third piece that is still, the ship is still sailing in the harbor. Because when I saw the cat, I thought this was about 9 lives. And I thought that Crystal, talking about, having faith and hope in that which you cannot see, is really more your natural self. And it's, in some ways, this is an opportunity for you. Because I think that when Mars was going through Gemini, which would have been your 12th house, you'd be having things coming up that were things that you don't see readily about the way you think, about how you speak. And inadvertently, if you've been undercutting yourself or holding yourself small, then this is really a time to be vulnerable to the queen, to the royalty, to the reception within you. Whether you're a man or a woman is irrelevant. This is about standing and knowing that the universe is supporting you, and whatever you're manifesting as that final ingredient to where you want to go is on its way. And I want to offer it this way, because more times than not, the human, determines what will make them happy based on what they know. And if there's anything I've learned from the internet and the diversity on the internet, is there's a lot of things I don't know that could potentially make me happy. And the first thing I think of is branzini, the fish. I didn't know about branzini, but then I found out about branzini and I got happy, because Athena is saying for Cancer, it's a good time to assert yourself into the idea that you will be abundant, you will be nurtured, you will be feeling a sense of, as you ask the universe for something, the universe then delivers it. So I think that there is something that's going on, and maybe even as Mars enters your first house, you're going to be more courageous about asserting yourself in that way, and you won't feel as if it's being harsh, but rather it's being brave and being courageous to assert yourself towards that the next stage of what it is that you want to experience. All right. Okay. Let's go on to our Leos. Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay. Our tarot card is the Cup of Love. You know, this is obviously, we see the fish coming out. So there's not just the Piscean energy, but there's a feeling of bounty coming. Let me offer you not just my cup, but offer you nourishment. There's a feeling of celebration coming here. And I want to offer this because we know that Aquarius is the opposite sign of Leo. So Leos that are early born Leos are going to experience an opposition with Pluto. Now, let me offer it this way, because I don't want you to think that Pluto, you know, because when we experience an opposition, sometimes when it's a planet like Pluto, you think that that opposition has more weight. Because I want to offer it this way. Pluto may be in Aquarius at 0 degrees, asking you to give yourself permission to feel bountiful and to feel nourished by the things that you love. And if you've been holding yourself back, Pluto could push you out onto the stage. That's the way I want to put it. Because Pluto, this is how I want to put it. Leo's kind of the challenge of Leo is to have the courage to express their heart. And sometimes I think that's why other humans think that Leo's boastful, or Leo comes in the room a little bit big. I think that's actually because Leo's like not really coming in to be big to take over the room, but wanting to express itself and wanting to feel the connection and the back and forth of that expression. So very much right now, Pluto could be asking you to dig deeper and deeper into what makes you feel a sense of bounty coming to you. Where do you want to put your cup of love? Where do you want to put your time and your attention? The hats on these little pages always mean something to me, because this one is very ornate. And I almost feel like the bow or whatever it is looks a little bit like a fish fin. And I feel as if this could be also about doubling down on your creativity in a new, exciting way that feels very Leo-ish. Let's see if we're going to romance, creativity. Where are we going with this page? Because they always represent people. And I assume kind of when I'm doing these readings that they're representing an element of you. So this would be a youthful, excited element of energy. Oh my goodness, the new spring, the excitement of the spring. Okay, here we go. Shanti is the angel of peace, Leo. Then we have Merlina in the opportunity of the obstacle. We have Opal in the angel's advice. And then we have Xana. Meow. All right, Shanti is being joined by the trust card. Merlina's being joined by the cow. Opal's being joined by the goblin. And Xana's being joined by the water fairy. Okay, this is the way I'm going to put this for my Leos. Shanti is the angel of peace. We see the trust card here, and I feel as if there's a couple things going on here. Number one, if you are not interested in being in a relationship and you're a Leo, but you want to birth something of your own creativity, this is really a time to allow yourself to, I almost want to relax a little bit. I want to think of it like, when I say relax, I almost feel it's an energy of, if there's an energy of urgency, I got to do this. I need to get videos out on my TikTok. I need to Oh boy, back up. I feel like it's like, oh no, relax. Wait till you feel inspired by something. Wait till you feel full. Wait till you feel this sort of, when I think about that fish popping out, I feel as if I'm about to have a good meal, and I kind of want to relax, because there's a sense of feeling trusting of what's coming through in a way that feels inspirational. It feels like Oh, how can I explain this for Leo? It almost feels as if a little bit of a Leo vulnerability becomes an inspiration for something. Because when I look at Merlina and the cow, I don't feel confusion. I feel as if there's some sort of synergy going on here. This Merlina is obviously a wizard, but there's the dualities of things. We see the yin and yang. We see um, the two dolphins. So here, what this is feels like some sort of deliberation. And what I think it might be for Leo is, will people like what I have to produce? Will people respond to my personal creativity? And I want to offer it this way. The cow says nourishment, abundance, asking and receiving. And I think this is really a time, and this is when I start to call things the Aquarian age. It's not because it's a period of time. It's because people will resonate with your self-expression. And those that do resonate with it will find it. So you don't need to play to the audience. You play to an audience of one in a very youthful, excited way, and that will draw the audience to you. Because Opal is here saying that you are a child of God. And then I have the Goblin, where you're edging God out. And in the final position, I have Xana, the angel of protection, and the water fairy, which means your feelings are being protected as you trust a deeper inner knowing of your self-expression. Now let's talk about Leos that want to birth children, that really want to bring little humans into this world. And I can take the exact same spread and say, relax, that you have to understand, or you get to understand, that you're not bringing a human in, you're bringing a soul that will be inhabiting a human experience. And if we look at the transits right now, there could be the potential that many of those souls would like some of the transits to shift. I don't know that all babies would want to be born with Mars in Gemini, and that was a 7-month stint. We now see Saturn moving into Pisces, which offers a mastery as we put structures into our creativity, into our sense of inner knowing and connection to the other side. Because here, to me, I feel like if indeed you are a Leo who wants to bring children into this world, then your willingness to understand that soul is in cooperation with you. So you just do the inviting, and then you let the soul pick the timing of it. Okay. As every week we talk about, this is my rising sign. So this is how it's affecting my viewpoint. This is my moon. This is how it's affecting my emotions. So it's the same thing with a soul that you would bring forth. So trust, be at peace with your heart. Allow yourself to just sit in a place of receiving. Identify where you may be edging God out because you're worrying too much about whatever has not happened. And now knowing that you're protected as you surrender your emotions of fear to a bigger picture. Man has been around for eons, and there is no, when it comes to fertility, trust me, we're not going anywhere. So babies aren't born because we create them. They're born because we invite them. So just remember the invitation. Okay. Second Saturn return is I got to tell you, I liked my second Saturn return because it really revealed to me places I was holding myself small. And it also revealed to me that I am one of those people that's going to be rewarded over time for my tenacity. So don't be afraid of these dynamics. Embrace them because they have things to offer you that the human structure up until now has not revealed. I kind of feel like astrology is like the Bible. Some parts of the Bible were edited out because it didn't really serve the church's viewpoint to empower the congregation. And also just through the changes of language, etc., things got shifted around. The Book of Enoch, etc., things like this got edited. So the reason I bring that up is because there's the potential that there's other things to be revealed through the planets, things that we focus on that is more the challenging side versus the uplifting side. And on my channel here, as we focus on the uplifting side of the planets, they will then align to us and support us because they want to be known for their evolution and revolution from the, challenges. Pluto doesn't always want to be known as just a criminal, okay? Because Pluto rules healers. Pluto rules surgeons and psychiatrists, psychologists. All right. As I go on to our Virgos, it is a time of celebration. It's also a time of integrating the human experience. This Three of Cups, while it represents celebration and harvest, it also represents the three phases of the woman: the innocent, the maternal, and the wise one. Some people call them the naive one, the mother, and then the crone. I don't really like the word crone, so we'll call it the wise one. Let's see how indeed our Virgos will be implementing their wisdom, their life path. We just had a full moon in your sign, so there was some illumination, opportunity to have a realization, a culmination of some kind, and there could very well be where certain paths are no longer supporting a bigger picture. All right, our first angel is Xana, the angel of protection. Layla in the opportunity or obstacle. Francesca is in the angel's advice, and Fiona is in the final position. All right, Virgo, here we go. Xana is being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. Layla is being joined by the deer. Francesca is being joined by the stag. And Fiona's being joined by the movement card. Okay, so this is interesting to me because Virgo by nature rules dutiful, dependable, analytical processes. You know, every person that I've ever worked with Virgo energy, and my dad was a Virgo, my grandfather's a Virgo, my brother-in-law is a Virgo sun. They're all very, very hardworking people. Now, this is what I think. Maybe this is really about celebration now, Virgo. Maybe this isn't about the evolution of the human experience, but really more about putting all that practicality and dependability for another person aside and starting to celebrate and harvest your own manifestations. For some reason today, I can't help but notice that this character with the yellow smock on seems to be holding something. And it looks almost like it's a basket of grapes. And I feel as if that might be a little bit of the Virgonian energy. It's like I'm celebrating on one hand, but there's still something I'm not letting come forth. And maybe that's a part of bounty, because Xana is offering you protection as you birth a new version of yourself. And as Saturn is going to oppose your house as it traverses through Pisces, I think this is going to really be where Saturn isn't saying, I'm going to restrict you. It's going to ask you if the structures you've built, if what you have created for yourself is serving you, or if it's only serving another person. Sometimes we serve other people and we hope they'll see us. We're like, I'm going to be so good to you. I'm going to work hard for you. I used to do this in my career. I'd take like some measly salary, thinking if I worked hard, that person would appreciate me and reward that hard work. And that really never happened. That's how silly I was for such a long time. It wasn't until I started self-rewarding that the universe started to align to reward me. Because I think this is truly a time to be gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you start to talk to the universe about the new things you want in your life, the new experiences, the one that are focused on you having more fun and more joy and harvesting all that you have created and worked so hard for. Because Francesca is telling you, are you focused on what works for you or what doesn't work for you? This is focusing on negativity blocks things. And this to me today doesn't feel like leadership. It feels a little bit more like I'm going to say it. It feels a little bit prideful. Like I have to, people are depending upon me. I'm the one that always shows up on time. I'm the one that always does this. So I need to continue to do that for other people. And I think this might be tripping you up. This might be where you have to be a little bit gentle and diplomatic with yourself, as maybe you're not doing what other people want all the time. And you're like, this makes me feel a little uncomfortable. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to serve a much bigger picture for an even exchange of energy. Because now Fiona is saying, now that you've asked God and angels for help, be open to receiving that help, because there's a possibility of movement. And part of that is going to be the epiphany that me having a little bit of fun isn't such a bad thing. I have a Virgo, Venus in Virgo, and I have Pluto in Virgo. And you know something, my fun is work. But you know, every once in a while, I think to myself, I don't carve out enough time just to enjoy myself because I'm always either waiting for someone to call or book. And I don't even do my diamond art anymore because when I started making videos all the time, I always think that diamond art is a luxury. So I want to offer it this way because I think for Virgo, it's a little bit about rewriting the time you give yourself permission to be, for you to do what you want, to pursue your dreams, to step outside of what has been expected of you, and maybe even do something a little unexpected. And maybe that's what Pluto will bring in. What Saturn will bring in as it opposes you, new structures that other people don't historically expect from you, but you're now claiming the reward that Saturn has to offer you as you look at this opposition as an opportunity to bring in balance. Okay, on to our Libras. I think my hair is taking a really long time to get gray. I'm 63 years old. You'd think it would be grayer, right? And I keep thinking about coloring it, but then I think to myself, You know, it's really, working for yourself, it really takes a brave person to walk that path, because it's always about how much you believe in yourself and your ability to receive, you know, for things to come in. But at the same time, it's such an exhilarating experience to see yourself out there in the world on a level of freedom. So that feels good. All right, let's look at our Libras. We have the Six of Pentacles, and I can't help but see those scales. Libra, will you be a have or will you be a have not? How will you perceive it? Because you have had a lot of activity going through your seventh house of partnerships. And when I see Libra rising and that Aries, I always feel like Aries in the seventh house is really about a sense of individuality and allowing yourself to pursue your own passions within a relationship. So there's this sense of you inside of the we, the me inside of the we. So I want to offer this because while pentacles are considered material, I think this is more about the gentleman making the choice of who will receive and who won't. And will Libra be one that receives, or will Libra be the one that's hoping to receive? Let's look and see. Because when I look at this card for Libra, I actually feel like this guy with the blue cape on is looking at this other human and thinking, oh, please judge me. Please judge me fairly. And I think maybe there could be something about not letting humans judge you at all. Let's see, Libra. Our first angel is Fiona. The second is Archangel Michael. The third is Francesca. And the final is Archangel Raphael. Fiona is being joined by the Disruption card. Archangel Michael is joined by the Rebirth card. Francesca is being joined by the Hawk. And Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Baird. So Libra, you've been squared by Pluto for quite some time. Late-born Libras, any planets you have in late Libra are going to, still be affected by Pluto. Right now, my 27-degree Libra, Mars is being squared by Pluto. And when I look at that square, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid I'm going to die or have a heart attack, as much as I think it's asking me to be brave and looking into the places where I've held myself small. And when I look at this Six of Pentacles, I feel like the biggest energy coming off this is this guy in the blue is actually judging his viability and his worth from this guy over here. And we don't know who the hell this guy is. We don't know if this guy is a good guy, a bad guy, if he's, who is that guy? Because I feel as if what Libra is is going on right now. And this week could be pivotal for this. This could be, let me think about this for a second. Aquarius is going to be what, your fifth house? I'm pretty sure it's your fifth house. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's your fifth house. Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, because this disruption card and Fiona saying, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. I think it might be about other people judging you. And what the disruption is, you don't want to care about other people's opinions anymore, that you want to just really think, what do I want for me? Because Archangel Michael is asking you here to have the courage to make the life changes. And this is the birth and the rebirth card. So it's allowing yourself to be rebirthed from your own personal inspirations in what will make you feel seen to you versus seen by somebody else. Francesca talks about negativity and then focusing in on negativity. And then the hawk is asking me to look above at the signs and the omens. And this is where I almost feel like Libra, you could even be potentially feeling judged or criticized by people you don't even care about or like that much. People that, but they may be people that are somehow influential in your life. Just because you're in a family doesn't mean you like everybody in the family. Although if we're lucky, we do. And when you work in an environment, doesn't mean everybody you work with. So there's something going on that makes me feel as if Libra is starting to differentiate between what is really working for them and what isn't working for them. And that transit of the planets of Jupiter and Chiron going through your seventh house of partnerships is re-examining this. Is new moon in Aries is re-examining the partnerships in your life. And if you are being seen for your individuality within them, because I think that not only is Archangel Raphael offering you an epiphany on some level, I do think that this is really the bear here today is not coming up as history to me. It's coming up like telling a new story. The Baird represents song. It represents Venusian things on some level, because song and the enchantment of storytelling. Yes, we say that's Gemini, tells stories, writing, teaching, speaking, but all these things are intertwined. So I want to offer this. I think for my Libras that as you become aware of your sensitivity to other people's criticism or judgment of what you're creating in the world, you may find yourself less impervious, less subject, or less influenced by that. And as you recognize it, I think it'll give you an opportunity to rebirth yourself in a new way, because your sixth house is Pisces and Saturn is going through Pisces. So this is an opportunity again for you to put structures into your creativity and potentially create work as a result of it, or create bounty, create money as a result of it. But it's also your willingness to, again, kind of put yourself as your own audience and not worry too much about how other people are responding to you or how you show up. It's a slippery slope on these partnership signs because, we're so connected to other people, and other people are changeable. And so one minute we're in favor and the next minute we're not in favor. And that's why I think it's so important to connect to our own joys, especially when it comes to our creativity. All right, let's go on to our savory and sexy Scorpios. Woo, going your own way here today. This is the Seven of Swords. This is a very powerful card of individuality. We're looking at an Aries new moon this week. We're looking at Mars, your co-ruling planet, moving into Cancer this week. We're looking at Pluto, your dominant ruling planet, moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is independence. So something is going on for Scorpios. And it could very well be all the information that you have extracted from the South Node traversing your first house. This, I started noticing that, which I don't hear a lot of astrologers talk about, the nodes actually go retrograde once a month. They hover. And the reason I noticed it is because I have Mercury at the 13th degree in my chart. And it felt like the South Node was on that Mercury forever, like back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, please get off of my Mercury. I keep losing clients and money. But it was good because what was happening was the Pluto aspect was really revealing where there was imbalance in those situations, and where maybe I was plugged in thinking I was, being useful here, but it was actually dominating my time. And I was more open to, as I went a new direction, I was more open, because there's something I think Scorpio has learned from the South Node's transit that has offered you an opportunity to dig deeper into your wants and desires. And this is why I think that this Seven of Swords really represents thought. So there's things I have to leave behind with the pack and take my own individuality and move that story forward. So let's see. Scorpio, where are you going to show some independence? Francesca's talking about the way you think. Ariel's new psychic and spiritual experiences. Merlina's talking about magic. And Opal's talking about being a child of God. Francesca's being joined by the king. Merlin is joining Ariel. The wind fairy is joining Merlina, and the frog is joining Opal. Okay, I want to say this for my Scorpios, because this to me feels like it's more of an emotional situation where you are purging something or you're making sense of something as your ruling planet goes from Capricorn at the 29th degree, which is the Leo degree. What do I need for myself? What do I want for myself? How do I think about the viability of that? Because Francesca is encouraging us to focus in on solutions versus problems. And I think that at this moment, Scorpio, because you get really, sometimes people just say the key words: stingy, intense, brooding. It's so true and not true. Okay. Because you are like a talk about a steak. You're like a filet mignon or a top sirloin, or maybe you're a tomahawk steak with a big, deep red glass of Cabernet and a beautiful baked potato. You're savory and you're rich and you're deep and you're real. And I think sometimes that just, people don't want to gut that deep. They're like, no, I have to take too much accountability for who I am. And Scorpio's like, no, I'm more than willing to do that, because I think this is really about justice. And I think it's time for you to focus in on justice. And you may not feel justice when you're having to go your own way. You may feel like you're having to move away from people because they don't understand you. But there is alchemy, justice, and balance to be had as you trust a bigger picture and you connect in a new way. This South Node for me going through Scorpio made me realize where I had built relationships out of balance, where I was over delivering and people thought they were being so generous to me because they were paying me for my time, and yet I was giving them even more time than they were paying me for. So I started to realize that wasn't their issue. That was my issue, because I was lacking value. So I was over delivering. And I don't think that's negative. I just think it's a piece of information, because I think there's magic to be had as you identify how you think. I don't think Merlina is about being confused. I think this is really more about digging into your own deep psychology and the imprint of what you are aware of and also not aware of, and how you manifest. I am a really very confident woman, and yet there are places where I surprise myself holding myself small, where I feel like my Aries energy and my Taurus moon are not palatable to other people, that I'm too forward, I talk too much, I'm too full of myself, some people think. And yet at the same time, in an emergency situation, I'm the first person a lot of people call because of those very traits. So I think this is an opportunity to rewrite who you are, Scorpio, because you are a child of God, and it's time to clean this up and start to get the bounty from it. That's what I want to say. Meaning the bounty of trusting that deep inner knowing, that deep psychology that lets you be aware of actually how other people are operating and what their real truth is. And instead of ignoring it and pretending it doesn't exist, or villainizing them or yourself for it, you're allowing things to become more I want to use the word calm. I don't know why. I feel as if Scorpios understanding their intuitive nature. They're understanding the human experience. And now this Pluto energy is giving you an opportunity to liberate yourself from feeling unseen and kind of standing in a higher sense of leadership. So you don't have to dominate. Instead of, the power and control, you're demonstrating the power and control over yourself, which then again is an invitation to others. All right. Let's go on to our Sagittariuses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I'm getting hungry too. I made myself a couple really yummy dinners last few nights. I love when I sit at my table and I'm like, oh, this is so good. My Taurus moon loves to eat. Lucy Rose is probably taking the day off. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius, the king of money. The King of Pentacles is here. Beautiful, bountiful card. You know, clearly we can see the Taurus energy on it, but we also see the pomegranates. We see him looking off almost in a way that feels to me as if he sees even more bounty, as if he's sitting in an energy of feeling abundant in ways that are still yet undiscovered. There's a little bit of that, you know, looking off into the distance, which is very Sagittarian to me. So let's look and see where we're going. Because as a Sagittarius rising, I believe Aries is your 5th house. So you could be starting to experience a lot of bounty through your passions, through where you find enjoyment and pleasure, as well as creative energies. I also feel like I should say to Sagittarius that one of the things, you know, again, Sagittarius rising, depending upon where your moon or your sun is, there could be energies that compete with your Sagittarian energy, meaning, you know, let's say you're a Virgo moon, okay? So part of you may want to go through process and want to do things in an analytical way. And then the Sagittarius energy is like, oh, let's try it a new way. Let's do something different. So I feel like there's that might be coming up for you, is to pay attention to allowing yourself to not just experience or observe foreign things, but maybe even start to experiment and play with them in the 3D world. And they could bring bounty for you. Okay. Daniel, the angel of marriage, Sagittarius. Then we have Serena, the angel of money, abundance. Then we have Omega, victory. And then we have Merlina. Oh, Stephen, all of a sudden I'm seeing your dolls. Are you still here, Stephen? All of a sudden I'm seeing your dolls. I'm seeing you, your creativity. So now I'm wondering if you're not becoming a sign and an omen for me. All right. Daniel, the angel of marriage, is being joined by the dog. That's fun. Serena's being joined by the truth. Omega's being joined by the bear. And Merlina's being joined by the serpent. Okay, Sagittarius, I want to offer this. Daniel, the angel of marriage, is a card of history, really. It's a history, the history in relationships. How have I experienced relationships? And that kind of sets the tone for moving forward. But for some reason, I think that there's something going on with the Aries energy. For some reason, I'm connecting to the Aries new moon in your 5th house. I'm connecting to Jupiter and Chiron and Mercury and starting to open up your 5th house energy and your creativity. So I think this is about starting to marry yourself to the things that you love. I think that money will come in effortlessly as you stand in your truth. I feel like when I look at the bear today, I'm seeing the elements of music, of poetry, of creativity and victory coming here. And then I see Merlina and the serpent. And I feel like Merlina is telling me you're still in process, but you're about to shed a new skin. Something new is going to happen for you. And it's going to be much more aligned to bringing you a sense of feeling fulfilled. And I don't think that that's just fulfilled in your wallet as much as it feels fulfilled in expressing yourself and being proud of yourself. That's what I want to say. I feel like I'm proud of what I'm creating. This is very Venusian as well. So, you know, here I am using Stephen as an example because he creates doll clothes and sells them on Etsy. So that could be something that really starts to bring in bounty that he didn't realize because he's putting a little love on it. All right, let's go on to my goats. You guys are making me super hungry. Are you talking about fish because I said branzini? I have some salmon in the freezer. I also had a beautiful filet last night. It was delicious. My hair is doing funky things. Okay, here we go. On to our Capricorns. We have the moon. Now, this is a card which is very interesting because I always notice those, like they look like prison silos for me in the background, that teeny, teeny, tiny window where I feel like my sight is completely obstructed. Now, for my Capricorns, this moon could be that it's not representing confusion, but rather an opportunity to realize that the mind enslaves us. And this is an opportunity for you at the 29th degree, Pluto at the 29th degree this week, to really start to contemplate how you give life to your intuitive energies, the energies that say, oh, you know what, I don't want to, I don't know if it's such a good day to drive down that street. I'm going to get stuck in traffic. I don't know why I know that, but I know that. And then you drive down that street anyway and you get stuck in traffic and you're like, why didn't I listen to myself? This is what I think is going on with Capricorn, because there's something about intuitions hitting you on a material plane so you can actually see the ripple effect of not listening to your intuition. That's where I'm going with this. I'm trying to think. Aries, Capricorn Aries is going to be your 4th house. Yeah. Yeah. So there could be something coming up that has to do with family. Hold on, let me look. Archangel Raphael is offering a healing. Sonia is talking about your loved ones. Ray is a connection to the other side. And Athena is about lovingly asserting yourself. I miss Nikki now. Nikki should be talking about pizza in the room, isn't it? All right, here we go. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Grail Knight. Sonia is being joined by the Mystery card. Ray is being joined by the Communications card. And Athena is being joined by the Goblin. All right, for my Capricorns, Pluto's last little stint here. Now, it's not its last. It will go back. Pluto will go back into the last degrees of Capricorn a couple more times before it ends up in Aquarius till 2044. But this is where I'm going with this. I feel as if this moon is really representing practicing trusting your inner knowing. You're an earth sign. You know, you represent leadership. You represent government and authority and rules of the human construct, rules that have been constructed by the human dynamic. Now, Pluto's been breaking up all those rules for you and really asking you to build from a new place, to build from an interior place, not an emotionally weak place, but in a place that gives life to the idea that emotions represent a deeper truth within us. And when we align to those emotions, we start to recreate the human experience, because I believe that there is a healing coming for Capricorn as you bow down to the sacredness of your soul, of what you want for yourself. So let's say that you're a Capricorn and, you know, you've been working in banking this whole time and you're like, I want to make money. I want to make sure I have a nice house and a car. And then through this last little period of time with Pluto, you're like, you know, money's great, but I want more vacation time. I want more time with my kids. I want more time to play my diamond art, because there's something going on. And I feel like your guides are working with you right now to make new choices. And those new choices seem like they're coming from more of an emotional place, a place that fuels my enjoyment, my pleasure. And the confusion could be between what is expected of you, where you've been dutiful and responsible and enduring, and now this feeling of what about me comes in, and everybody's like, who you don't count, Capricorn, because you're supposed to be working for me. No, there's a new sheriff in town, because Spirit is asking very much for you to spend time in meditation, talking about the things that are most important to your heart, because some of these signs that are more earthbound, when you connect through the truth of what the divine universe has to offer you, then your leadership skills and your tenacity and your endurance become valiant tools of a hero to help the rest of us step up. because I think right now there's a part of you that may be edging God out as you think that you must traverse that mountain. You must literally climb that mountain. And I feel like in this moment, on this week, for my Capricorns, especially if something's going on in your home sector, because I'm keying into the idea that Aries is squaring you. I'm thinking Aries is your fourth house. I'm thinking that the new you may confuse everyone around you, and they're like, what's going on? And at the same time, I feel like this is part of your personal journey, not to try to explain to others, but to, again, connect repeatedly with an interior version of yourself and what that is and what you want to birth within that. Because I think that here, as we see this transformation from a shackling to the human structure, and we start to construct from a really creative place where the soul knows that everything has its up and down. The contrasting, the fear-based experiences are the seedling for our empowerment. This is going to become very, very influential for others. And so I think that this moon is not really about confusion. It may feel a little confusing only because there's interior struggle between what is expected of me and what I want for myself. And as you lovingly assert yourself towards what you want, then those around you will adjust and adapt and become more flexible with a new version of yourself. Okay, let's go on to our final sign, Aquarius. Oh, wow, Aquarius. You know, this is the great thing, because, you know, when Pluto was transiting some of these it's so wonderful to see you. Welcome to the room. It's a big week. You know, when I remember when in 2008, when President Obama was elected, I remember feeling so powerfully the change in environment. I had no idea, because I wasn't really looking at astrology, that Pluto had just moved into Aquarius. I had no idea that Pluto ruled things that are dark, in the darkness, you know? And so it was a very exciting time for me to see the coming together of people, the evolution of people. It wasn't so much about the actual president and who he was as a person. It was more about the Aquarian dynamic of seeing us connect in a new way. So I want to offer this because those of you that are at the very 1 degree, 2 degrees Aquarius, and even Capricorn, late degrees, are going to really start to feel the winds of change. It's not going to be permanent just yet, but boy, those winds are going to start blowing. And I think that when we put our sails in the right direction, that wind can take us. We don't have to work so hard. So let's see what your tarot card is. The Four of Pentacles. This is a very interesting energy, because this is not an energy of poverty. It's an energy of feeling stuck and of being a little bit awkward in how I'm moving forward. But and this might be the little bit of the Pluto influence for the early born Aquarius, and all the fixed signs are going to feel this, because you'll either be in square or opposition to Pluto. And again, this is Pluto unearthing things for your benefit, not for your destruction. So let's see, because it might be what we're looking at is the Four of Pentacles is asking you to be flexible, not to hold on to something too tight, because if for some reason Pluto brings some sort of ending to something, the rebirth could be much more viable. I don't know if you've ever grown a garden, but sometimes the first time you grow something, it doesn't grow very well because you don't know how to do it and you don't know what's going on. And then, you know, that batch goes away and then you start to grow, you try again and you're much more successful. All right, let's see. Aquarius. Oceana is our first angel. The second is Astera. The third is Crystal. And the final is Ray. Oceana is being joined by the dog. Astera is being joined by the stag. Crystal's being joined by the raven. And Ray's being joined by the dragon. All right. So I want to offer this because to me, I think that the Four of Pentacles might be how astrology people are perceiving Pluto dipping its toe into Aquarius. We may be like, what's going to happen? Am I going to be okay? Because that's kind of what he looks like. Will my money still be there? that's another thing to think about, only because we've seen so much in the media. But here we have Oceana encouraging you to stay connected to the truth of who you are, to allow your individuality, your genius, your brilliance to continue to grow, to continue to swim up to the heights of who and what you can be, and to be loyal to yourself. To, in some ways, of all people, the thing about Aquarius is that it rules the nervous system. So it really can make the human feel anxious. It can make the human feel like, uh-oh. But I feel like if we dig deeper into that, anxiousness is bringing an awareness of something that's out of balance. Because here, Astera is saying to Aquarius, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. You rule the stars. And now I feel like this is about being a leader, being stubborn on some level, about not listening to small-minded people, small-minded experiences, human structures that don't serve the evolution of man, because there's something coming that's going to bring you a new beginning. And I think it's wonderful because the bones are picked clean. The timing is right for this. The raven is offering a new beginning, magic, and Crystal says you can't quite see it. And so if you're feeling stuck right now, it could be potentially because the universe has the baton. The universe is moving the elements and the components around so that when they come together, you inherently understand the inspiration that is before you and you're ready to take action. Because right now, Ray is saying to continue to connect with your inner knowing, with your powerful solar plex chakra. Trust your heart and speak only of that which your heart wants to experience, and then relax, because there's opportunities coming that you may not be aware of. So I'm going to summarize this. Oh, my words. I knew that Teri was meant to be Teri my whole life. I'm 63 years old. Yelp has only been around for about 10 years. I did not know for 53 years that I was going to have to wait for the invention of the internet and Zoom and YouTube and all these other platforms that gave life to me being who I am and expressing myself in a way that could allow me to create money for myself, as well as experience my passions and to what I hope is helping other people experience theirs. So Aquarius, as Pluto moves into your first house, this is an opportunity for you to dig deep into your own psychological imprint, to give yourself grace for any energies that may have been holding you back, because up until now, they served a purpose. And as you work in tandem with the universe, you will feel a sense of calm strength to move your story forward. So it's a really, really big week, but it's a big week because it's setting up a big chapter for all of us. And we sit in a place of opportunity to be aware of that. So that's where I'm going with that. So that's it for this week, everybody. I want to thank you for being here. I'm going on a journey of enlightenment to figure out how to SEO myself. I had to look that term up. And then when I figured out what it was, I was a little embarrassed. I will admit it. But I just thought I'd mention that. So I'll see you all next Sunday. Please check out the new moon video in Aries. I posted that yesterday. And I will be recording our April monthlies pretty soon, getting all that taken care of. So I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday. Lucky and I are going to go celebrate more of his birthday, play a little hide and seek with his treats, and I'll see you next time. Peace out. See ya.